Welcome to the podcast for and about Colorado Springs. I'm your host, Brittany Felix, and every Monday through Friday I'll be talking about a different aspect relating to the Springs, including upcoming events, restaurant reviews, local business spotlights, media coverage about the Springs, public works projects, local activities, answering your questions about the city, and much, much more. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss any of the updates. And also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can find links to all of those social media accounts at springspodcast.com/social media. The Colorado Springs podcast is proudly sponsored by Elevation Hydration. Elevation Hydration is the only hydration therapy clinic serving Colorado Springs, and they are dedicated to helping you elevate your life. They use intravenous vitamin therapy to help athletes needing a boost of energy or help recovering after a tough competition, people experiencing cold-like symptoms or dehydration from the flu, anyone needing to recover quickly from a rough night out. I'm looking at you, college kids. And just anyone wanting a healthy alternative to preventative care. They have a wide variety of hydration packages to help address whatever your needs are. They're conveniently located inside Lush Beauty Lounge at 812 Village Center Drive, and if you mention this podcast during your visit, you'll receive $10 off any hydration package. To learn more about Elevation Hydration or to schedule an appointment, visit springspodcast.com/hydrate. Welcome to episode 35 of the Colorado Springs podcast. This is going to be probably a pretty quick episode, but one that I thought was especially interesting. I came upon a recent article on the Gazette, and the title says, Colorado Springs, a low-key magnet for millennials. Now, considering I am technically a millennial myself, I was instantly drawn to this, and the article was not really that surprising, considering that I am essentially falling right into exactly what they are saying is happening, which is that more and more millennials are moving to Colorado Springs. Now, it's no secret that people are moving here in general, but they are claiming that the number of millennials who are specifically moving to the city is on the rise. Now, I'm sure everyone has heard the term millennial and has heard a whole host of different assumptions or terms or viewpoints attached to this term millennial. And being a millennial myself, I kind of just want to address this right off the bat. A lot of people, especially older generations, tend to equate millennials with being lazy or entitled. One thing I have to point out is that the millennial age range is actually pretty broad. A millennial is technically somebody who is from like 20 years old to their mid-30s. And obviously, someone in their mid-30s is not quite on the same maturity level as somebody who is 20 years old. So to apply this whole laziness or entitlement mentality or term to all millennials is just irresponsible. So to start off the bat, millennials are not lazy. Millennials are not entitled. Millennials are not spoiled. They're not brats. We work very hard, and we are very passionate and caring, kind people. In general, of course, there are some exceptions, obviously, as there are to every single age range or bracket or generation. So when I talk about this article and saying that there's a rise of millennials coming to Colorado Springs, some people may look at this as a bad thing because they have these misconceptions about millennials. However, it's actually a good thing. Millennials tend to bring new creative ideas and are very prone to going the entrepreneurial route when it comes to their career. So what this means for millennials coming to Colorado Springs is that we're going to see more businesses being open. We're going to see more creative solutions to our city's problems. We're going to see continued or even an increase in the amount of time and effort that is taken to preserve the wonderful parts of this city. So millennials moving to town is a good thing. Now, the most recent population data is from 2015, and it's estimated that millennials between the ages of 20 and 34 make up roughly 22% of the population in Colorado Springs. But one thing that's even more interesting to point out is the fact that according to the most recent available from the U.S. Census Bureau's American Community Survey, the number of people between the ages of 18 and 34 who had moved to Colorado Springs increased by 15,000 between 2010 and 2015. And I think it's pretty clear what the reasoning for this is. It's the reasoning for why, pretty much anyone moves to this area. A, they want to legally smoke weed. But beyond that, they want to have the amenities of a city while still being close to the mountains, and Boulder and Denver and some of these other places are just way too expensive. So Colorado Springs is a more affordable option. And Colorado Springs in general, I think, and is one of the main reasons that we moved here, is the perfect balance of city and nature. There's everything here that we could possibly want. We can find anything that we need, but we have amazing parks right inside the city limits that you can go to escape. Or if you want to get even further away from everything, you can drive the 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes to, get out to the more remote locations. So long-term millennial residents have cited also a couple of reasons for this increase in millennials moving here is perhaps the arts and culture scene is changing and growing, and the fact that the city is starting to deviate away from its strictly conservative reputation. Obviously, Colorado Springs is still a pretty conservative city, but as evident by the march that was held downtown in January, there is a large population of liberal or independent or non-conservative, whatever you want to call them. There's a larger population of those people here than most people probably realize. I can't remember how many it was that showed up. I think it was like 5,000 people or something marched downtown. And I am going to be completely honest and say that I was one of them, and I was very proud to be one of them. So that certainly is a factor in millennials choosing to come here as opposed to maybe going someplace else. Now, I don't think it's quite as much of a factor because in general, if you're doing your research ahead of time before moving to Colorado Springs, if you're just trying to figure out, what the city is really about, it does have a largely conservative reputation, especially online and in forums. So I don't think that plays quite as much of a role in the decision for millennials to move here. Now, in this article, it mentions they spoke with Scott Van Ness, who is an instructor at the University of Colorado at Colorado Springs, and he is currently leading a workshop series with the Southern Colorado Better Business Bureau on millennials in the workplace. And he feels that millennials are coming here because it offers a great work-life balance and because of the growing availability of jobs in technology and business and startup fields. And to kind of actually go along with this, they also talked to Tatiana Bailey, who is the director of the UCCS Economic Forum. And according to her, the millennial population is projected to increase in the coming years, which she believes will cause the workforce to grow, more businesses to open, and more opportunity for people to earn money and invest that back into our city. And one other last thing I want to talk about is that the El Pomar Foundation recently did a study or a survey, or they held a public forum in September of 2016 titled Mountains Matter to Millennials. And they essentially wanted to find out here in the Pikes Peak region how much of a factor the outdoor element was in their decision to move here and to stay here. And so I actually will put a link to their results of that survey, which I don't think will surprise you. They cited the outdoor activities and the natural features of the city as being the top 2 strengths of the region, according to millennials. And I concur. I mean, it is why we moved here. We loved this place. We came here the very first time, experienced Garden of the Gods, went up Pikes Peak, and we were in love. We just don't have those kinds of things back in Indiana. And that's what we like to do with our free time. We like to get out. We like to go hiking. Even if it's just driving around and just experiencing the outdoors, it's amazing what that does for at least my soul and my mind and my stress levels. So I can imagine it's like that for most of the other people who are moving here for those reasons as well. So if you want to check out that report or this article on the Gazette, you can find links to both of those in the show notes on my website. And those can be found at springspodcast.com/035. And of course, those are the actual numbers, 035. So I want to hear your views on this. Do you think millennials moving to town is a good thing or a bad thing? If you're a millennial yourself, do you agree with what I've talked about in this episode? Or did you move here for other reasons? Either way, you can reach out to me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube and let me know your thoughts on all of this. If you don't follow me on those platforms already, all you have to do to find those accounts is go to springspodcast.com/social media. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you back here next Monday, where I'm going to be talking about the events happening around the city next week. Have a fantastic weekend and get out there and enjoy that warm weather.